Hello and welcome. I'm Carol DeChaine, your intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters. And this month we're looking at 5 steps to finding true love. The first step was to look at your outlook and to really delve in. What are you feeling about finding love? Are you nervous? Are you worried? Are you anxious? Are you desperate? What are you doing? And I talked about that at length last week. This week, I'm talking about learning from your former partners because so many people carry that baggage with them. And it's easy to see other people when they do that. You'll find a friend or someone you know that you're going, get rid of this bum, this person. They're treating you poorly. They're not the person for you. And they do, and you go, yay, this is great. And then they get somebody else that looks exactly the same way because they treat them the same. Different person, usually. Sometimes it's the same person they go back to, but they don't learn. They don't appreciate and value themselves enough to learn from the past and then move forward and get someone who's even better for them. When you learn from your former partners, you're giving yourself a gift. Sometimes we learn, I'm not going through that again, and then we go through that again. And we're the people other people are looking at going, you have the same partner you did last time, and you don't see it necessarily. Unless it's the exact same person and they're treating you the exact same way. Look at those patterns in those former partners. If you have the same pattern over and over and over again, and you don't like the pattern, you've got to do something to stop it. You have to break it. So learn from those past people that you've been with in a loving relationship. And sometimes you can learn by looking at your parents and seeing how they interacted, or how maybe a father interacted if you're a woman, or a mother if you're a man. I mean, look at those things. See if that's where the basics come from. Because if you're looking at somebody and you're saying, okay, I had almost no emotion for this person. Why did I even date them? That was interesting. I need to wait until I have more emotion for that person. I have to care more. Or I was so desperate I would just date anybody. This person was really bad for me. But why were they bad for you? What were the warning signs you didn't pay attention to? Were there warning signs, those red flag things we talk about, for a reason? Maybe from the very beginning. I know somebody who the person said, I'm not a family man. I should not be in a relationship. She married him anyway. She was in a relationship. She says, why? He told me. Why didn't I listen to him? People tell you, if they know themselves well enough, who they are. And yet we still get involved. Don't date me. I'm going to hurt you in the end. Well, guess what? You did. They did. Pay attention. Those are red flags. You can't just date somebody anyway if you want a happy ending. Sometimes people are hard on themselves and they don't, maybe the relationship is different. So therefore, maybe they always played around, they always dated around, but you're the one. And that's what we like to think. And if you think you're the one, but it happens every single time in your past partnerships, maybe fixing somebody is what you do. You want to nurture them and help them and be there for them and all those wonderful things that sound really good, but really down deep, all you want to do is fix them because you don't think they're good enough. And that doesn't work. So if that's what you're doing, it's on you to shift yourself and because you can never fix another person. So whatever those issues are that were in past relationships that you need to work on, you can only work on yourself. No matter what you think of the other person, and they may be lacking or they were abusive or all those other things, if you accepted it, it means you need to work maybe on your boundaries or on walls if you wouldn't let them in because they said, you won't let me in. You don't love me enough. And they walk and you're going, but I love them. Maybe your walls are that you can't show affection because you're afraid then people will walk, and they do anyway because you put your walls too high. Maybe you let people treat you poorly and you don't have enough boundaries. So look at those things. What is it about those former partners? Why are they former? And don't just blame them. Look at your part in it. I don't care how badly they treated you. Well, I do, but it's not about them in this instance. In order for you to grow, is it about you that you can shift in order to have a better relationship next time? If you see somebody, if they hit you one time and you used to always put up with it, be out the door. Don't even take once. one step towards them. The second they say something that's nasty, if you used to put up with it all the time, or say something, or maybe the first time you say, I'm putting a boundary right now. Do not ever say things like that to me again. That was nasty. It hurt me. I will not put up with that. And if they do it again, you go, okay, I warned you, I'm done. And if it's a long term relationship where you've taken it for a long time, they may not believe you because you put up a boundary and they keep walking on it. They trample your boundary, they knock down your fence that you put up. You have to decide what you can live with. What do you want? And that's the next video. What do you want from the relationship? So let's learn first from our former partners. Learn what is it you can learn? What will help you? Sometimes, like I said, it's simply putting up certain boundaries, knowing what you'll accept in the relationship and what you won't. And that's a huge gift to learn for that from yourself, to figure it out. Maybe you took the first Tom, Dick, or Harry that showed up, or Mary, Jane, or Miriam. I don't know. You took the first person because you didn't want to be alone, because you were afraid of being alone, instead of holding out for someone who's a little bit better for you, someone who will treat you better or who will be there for you. Maybe you chose somebody that was far away and it was a long distance relationship because you just didn't want them to get too close. And if most of your relationships are long distance, perhaps that wall is awfully high because you're afraid of them getting close. Maybe you've had parents that hurt each other constantly and you don't want to go there. Look at what it is. You can learn so much, not only from looking at your parents' relationships, whether they had one or not, or the fact maybe one of them got married 5 or 6 times. Maybe they were always looking for love and they never found it, but they looked really hard. And so maybe you don't want to look for love because you think love is a crack because it just simply doesn't happen. Or maybe you realize that you just need to hold out a little longer because you don't want to be like that parent. Who knows? I mean, look at your parents. That's a really good way. That's also looking at former partners you know. Look at your grandparents. Look at your siblings and their relationships. See if there are things you can learn from them without actually having to go through it with them, especially siblings. You'll see them, you won't be really part of it, but you'll know enough if you're close or you're like your best friends. What did they go through? How much did they take? Did they learn anything? Even if they didn't, you can learn from their relationships if you really look at it. And then you don't need to go tell them what they should be learning. You can see what you would learn from the relationship, what you take away from it, even if you don't need to fix them and tell them what they need to learn. And learn from your folks. That is a huge thing because it impacts us because if we're living with them, or even if we're not, we see what's going on. We see how they treat each other. Maybe they scream at each other, or maybe they don't talk at all. Maybe they have no communication, or maybe they're warm and loving, or maybe they never touch. And you're thinking, well, maybe they don't love each other because they never touch. My parents were old school. They never touched each other in public. I mean, I think he would put his arm around her, but he never kissed her. He never did anything in front of us, at least when I was young. And I always thought that they didn't love each other that much. But when my mom had a heart attack, like a major heart attack and bypass surgery, my dad got gray. His black hair went mostly gray and lots of salt and pepper in a year. And I went, oh my God, he must really love her because otherwise he wouldn't be so stressed out. His hair would go gray or go white. So you don't know what people are feeling. You only know what you see in a relationship. And parents are something we learn from. For a long time, I never touched anybody. I was not the person that would go out and touch a soul. I wasn't touchy-feely until I got into Unity Church when they hugged constantly. And then I'd hug. But other than that, I wouldn't like reach out and touch someone. And I've shifted that as much as I can because people like to be touched. They like to put your hand on them. You can feel connected. If they're crying or something, you can hold them or you can just touch their arm. Let them know that you're there for them. So that was something that I learned from my folks. And you can learn a lot from your parents, but also from your former love partners I think that parents and the partners you have yourself are the deepest learnings because you can see other people around you, but you're not living either with them or are that connected to them to be able to get as deep of a learning as you could. Every single partner you have is someone that you can learn deep lessons for, even people you don't like, especially people that are major issues for you, because they can be a gift, even if they treated you horribly, in your mind where you go, wow, I learned so much from that person. I will never let somebody treat me that way again. Or I learned so much from that person because I deserve so much more. And that's a gift. You don't ever have to speak to that person again or condone what they did or didn't do or whatever. But you do need to look at that and learn for yourself, grow for yourself, because those are gifts that you can give yourself so that you're ready for the next step to finding love for the next person. And you'll have so much more to give the next person, so much more to share. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Carol DeChaine. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like and click on the bell notification if you would like to know the next time a video is posted. You can also find out more about me and life coaching and Marconics multidimensional energy on my website at connecttojoy.com. That's connect, the number 2, joy.com, which is below this video. And if you want longer versions of some of the things I say here, you can listen to my podcasts where sometimes I have guests and sometimes I just pontificate on my own. So until next week, please know that you deserve love. You deserve the very deepest form of love. And you are already enough to have that joy and that love in your life.